Dan, what a night it's been here in Auckland, New Zealand. Fantastic to be here first and foremost, but what a way to have finished things off. Their man got the W, but it did not come easy.
No, it didn't. But then when does a performance against Paul Felder go easy? I mean, you know, he's such a hard-nosed fighter. He's going to be trying to tread on your front foot all the way through the fight. And he pushed Dan Hooker to the nth of his game. But that's what we need to see for Dan Hooker. If he's going to continue to progress into the top 5, 6 in the division, it's those kind of performances that we need to see him tested under.
Where do you think he goes from here? Because he had been talking to us this week about Felder being not a gatekeeper per se, but they're right at the top. And if he gets past Felder, then the fights that are in front of that are huge.
Yeah, yes, they are. I mean, obviously, the first person that he mentioned was Gaethje. He wants that highlight reel on his record.
Should I get my wallet out now?
I know, right? I mean, what a fight that would be. Gaethje, another guy that's going to stay in your face, he's going to pressure you. Gaethje's got more of a wrestling offensive, though, which is worth noting, and he maintains that punching power into the later rounds. And there were a few times in that 4th and 5th round that Felder was cracking him clean with that right hand. Does a Gaethje right hand look any different to that is the question. But if he's ever going to get to a title shot, I mean, he's going to have to go through some of these animals in front of him.
Oh, yeah, that is a very tough road to the top. But holy moly, that's an exciting way for the fans to witness him on that ladder from right here in New Zealand. We've got to give some thoughts to Paul Felder, because this fight, in my eyes, could really have gone either way, and he's devastated in the octagon, talking about retirement. But just talk about that performance from Felder. One of the brightest performances we've seen, really dug deep.
Yeah, as you would expect from Paul Felder, it's automatic for Paul Felder to dig deep. That's who he is. He has heart and determination in bucket loads, and he adds technique to that every time we see him perform. But sometimes he always has to come through that adversity pretty much.
Yeah.
He's in enemy territory, he's walking out to boos. I mean, he's an emotional character that carries his heart on his sleeve. And I feel like, you know, in this fight, he was coming in against someone that had called him out, that had picked him as an ideal opponent. And he took umbrage to that, you know, which is fair. Kept the pressure on all the way through and just showed everybody why we love Paul Felder so much. And even though this wasn't his hometown crowd, when he mentioned that it might be his last time in there, the mood completely changed in the arena. It was like, oh no, we can't lose one of the greats in this lightweight division.
Yeah. And one last point on the main event, Dan. Main event for the first time for both of these fighters. They saw the 25 minutes that they were campaigning for as well, and they both passed with flying colours.
They did absolutely. And I think both guys will look at this and learn from it as well. I mean, even if Paul Felder doesn't fight again, he's going to look back on that and see things that he could have done slightly better. It will make him a better martial artist. But the guy that's really going to benefit is Dan Hooker, because there were parts of his game that didn't work out very well for him tonight. Some things were very effective, but he was still forced back against the fence. The decision was much closer than I'm sure he wanted.
Yeah.
So to keep progressing forward, he's got to keep improving on that performance. And Felder taught him some lessons tonight, which are going to benefit him in the rest of his career.
Talking about people that have a lot to give in this sport, we've got to take a look at Jimmy Crute.
Wow.
23 years young, another submission win inside the octagon. In my eyes, it was the right route to victory for him against Oleksiejczuk, another young man, just 25, but with heavy, heavy hands.
Yeah.
And he just completely took that option off the table with his takedown.
That was it, exactly. He knew the best way to fight this fight. Oleksiejczuk, he's a high-paced fighter with heavy hands that varies his attacks very well. But the one thing that we've not seen him is off his back doing a great deal.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Crute's grappling offensive was, I mean, it was something to behold.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dan Kelly in his corner is going to be very proud of some of those trips and sweeps.
For sure.
Constantly returning him to the mat until eventually he was able to get to that side control and isolate the Kimura. I mean, the future's bright for Jimmy Crute. There's no doubt about it. And a win over Oleksiejczuk is going to really grow his confidence.
Where do you think that puts them in the rankings? Because they were both talking about breaking into the rankings, and you look at their previous opponents, Serkinov and OSP, if they'd have gotten wins there, and you know, Oleksiejczuk, for example, I think he took the first round off of OSP, so they're not too far away, but do you think they break that magic 15?
Well, you know, it's so difficult in the light heavyweight division because there are so many animals in this division, some real tough fighters, and guys that are also not necessarily mature in their careers, but mature physically as well. I'm talking guys that are in their late 20s, early 30s that have got that second level of strength to their game and that experience that goes with it. Jimmy Crute, as you said, 23. There's no need to rush the guy.
Yeah.
He wants Serkinov, but he wants
Hooker.
another win first. Exactly. You know, the timing will be right for this guy. We keep building him incrementally. He wants that Serkinov fight, but he also wants another win before that. I'm interested to see where he goes now, because we've seen knockout power, we've seen submissions, and he's got veterans in his corner, which are only going to make him better.
For sure. Is there another fighter that you pick from this card that really did good work this evening?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of performances.
Yeah.
The one really for me that stands out is Song Kenan. And there are a few reasons that I like this performance. One is because the troubles that he had in his training camp,
With
having to leave China, the coronavirus. He got out of China a day before he had to be able to get into New Zealand. So, I mean, it was touch and go for a moment. Changing everything about the end of his training camp could have been quite difficult for him. Making the journey over, fighting somebody with a lot more fans in the arena than he had.
Yeah.
And then his striking was accurate, but it wasn't overcommitted, which is what we sometimes see from a power puncher. We see him loading up into every single shot, and he tap, 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 bang, tap, 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 bang. I love that rhythm, that pacing of his striking, because that means that we can really celebrate that punching power when it lands, because it's been set up so beautifully.
And to think back in his history that he had to hide the desire to train from his parents. He was doing it secretly, gave up everything, and continues to make sacrifices and move around the world to get the very best training. Looking forward to seeing what he does there. I think we should look forward, Dan, to next week.
Always.
There's a big fight going on in Virginia. It is for the title. Joseph Benavidez will get another crack at the flyweight title. Deiveson Figueiredo, however, since he lost to Justin Formiga, put 2 very good wins back-to-back. He is the next guy.
Absolutely. I mean, and this is a really exciting time for this division, because obviously with Demetrius Johnson having the place on lockdown for so long, then Henry Cejudo came in the rematch and managed to get the belt off him. This makes it really interesting because Benavidez has a split decision win over Cejudo, which even though Cejudo's the champ, he's going to want that back, especially if he sees Benavidez wearing his belt at the end of it. But then Deiveson Figueiredo could cause some real issues in this one. He's an explosive, dangerous fighter. He's got submissions, he's got knockout power. And both of these guys take big risks. I mean, this is going to be a wild fight. I don't expect anything less than wild exchanges in this one. And whoever gets the belt at the end of it is going to be calling for Cejudo to come back and try and wrestle it out of their grip.
It's crazy thinking about the flyweight division and where it was at maybe a couple of years ago. And we see the talent that is coming through now and the opportunity that are presenting themselves to get their hands on UFC gold. Fantastic stuff. The belt will become vacant next week. Who will win that one? We look forward to Virginia. We will see you then, that one, for the 125-pound title.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and special content, subscribe to ESPN+.